If you have mock exams coming up, trust me when I tell you that you do not want to skip this video. This is exactly what you're going to do to ace those mock exams, absolutely smash it out of the park and get those predicted grades up. As always, giving you my top study tips and tricks because I want to help you reach your full potential. If you haven't already, be sure to like and subscribe so you do not miss out on my best pieces of revision advice. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another video where I'm giving you my top study tips and tricks for your mock exams. I know a thing or two about mock exams. I did very well in my A-level mocks and I did really poorly in my GCSE mocks. So I learned a thing or two from those GCSE mocks. In my A-level mocks, I got predicted 4 A stars and an A star in my APQ. In my GCSE mocks, I got all 3s, 4s, 5s and 6s, which was not ideal. I came out of my GCSEs with almost all grade 9s. I got 2 8s as well. However, the point still stands. I learned a few things about revising for mocks. The first thing that you need to do before you do any revision is to understand why you are revising. What do you want? What do you want from these mocks? What do you want from the future? Take your long-term goals and work backwards. Okay, so A-level students, it might be go to a specific university, get an offer from a specific university, or even go and do a certain job in the future that requires a certain degree, which requires you to get these grades at A-level. GCSE students, do you want to go and do a specific subject at sixth form? Do you want to go to a specific sixth form? Some very competitive sixth forms will go off your predicted grades, some even have interviews. And some will say, you cannot enroll for A-level maths unless you're predicted a 6. What do you want? Think about what you want in the future and work back from there. It's not enough to just say, I want to get all 9s, all A stars for the sake of it. You need some sort of long-term goal. The next thing that is incredibly important to understand is that you're not just revising to get good grades in mock exams. Even though, as a result of revising, you will get better grades, that's not why you're doing it. The reason you're revising for mocks is so that you can learn how to revise. Because if you go into your real exams completely cold turkey, you've never done any sort of revision, you're not going to know how to revise. You're not going to know how to revise. You're not going to know what to revise, how to target your revision, how to use different revision strategies, and critically, which revision strategies work for you. Your mock exams are the perfect opportunity to learn these things in a way that's not too pressured, because if you use the wrong revision strategies for your actual GCSEs or A-levels, then you're kind of cooked. Like, you're not going to do well. It doesn't really matter if you use the wrong revision strategy for your mock exams and you don't necessarily get the best grades. You learn what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And this can vary between subjects, but even between topic. So in history, if you're revising Elizabethan England, you might want to use blurting or a timeline of events. But if you're revising for the Cold War, you might want to use flashcards because you've got so many key dates. It can vary within subject as well. You don't just have to say history, blurting, maths, past papers, science, flashcards. No, you can try out a range of things, see what works for each subject and each topic. So how do you start your revision? The first thing I recommend you do for revision for your mocks is to make revision resources. This is so helpful, and making revision resources is an act of revision in itself. But what do I mean by this? I mean mind maps, be making flashcards, be making cheat sheets. Anything that you think will help you in the future, because it's so important to have these ready for your real exams. You can find revision resources online, but the act of making them is revision in itself, because of course you're coming up with questions for flashcards. You're not just copy and pasting things off a computer onto a piece of paper. You are using your own brain. You are actively engaging with content, which is a form of revision. And then you will have these revision resources that are tailored to you and will focus on your weak areas, which is what you need. So of course, be making these revision resources, but don't stop at that. When you've made the revision resources, you need to use them to actually revise. So how do you start actually revising? I've got 2 words: active recall. Do not click off this video just yet. I know how infuriating those 2 words are because they're thrown around left, right and centre on StudyTube, StudyTalk. What does this mean? Active recall is just the process of actively recalling information from your own long-term memory. It's essentially testing how much you can remember about something and how well you understand something. There are a variety of ways that you can do this. A very common one is blurting. It was popularised on StudyTube when I was doing my GCSEs. You take a specific topic and you write down everything that you know about it. This can be a whole topic, so it could be the entirety of plants in GCSE biology, or it could be something very specific, which is like photosynthesis, GCSE biology. I would recommend using very specific blurting, particularly for mocks when you've not finished the course. Also, doing a very unguided blurt of everything you know about an entire exam is incredibly difficult, and you will naturally miss things out. Then you have other forms of active recall. So those flashcards that you've been making, you are going to be doing them. You're going to be reading the question and trying to come up with the answer before turning over the flashcard. That's the active recall bit, where you try and regurgitate the information from your own mind. Then you have methods like SQ4R and the Feynman technique and past papers. I've got a whole video on this, so just check my channel for that. And then I have some top tips for your mock exams, because of course you have your revision resources, you're going to revise from them, but what are my top tips? Number one, work on those things that you're weakest on. You will hear everybody say it, but there is a reason everybody says it. It's because it's true. You need to focus on those things that you don't understand. This is going to help you increase your marks by the most amount. If there's anything you're feeling shaky on, that you're not too sure about, go and work on it. This leads me on to talk about the importance of RAG checklisting. This helps you identify your strong areas, your weak areas, your meh areas, and helps you target your revision, because your revision should be targeted on those things that you have the biggest misunderstanding of, that you understand the least. And then as well as this, you can target your weak areas through practice papers. So if you do an entire practice paper for maths and you get 20 marks, you lose 20 marks for some reason, what did you lose those 20 marks on? Was it a topic that you didn't understand? Did you make a silly maths error? Identify what you got wrong and why, and this can help focus your revision. If you just keep making silly maths errors, you need to practice doing exam questions under time conditions and actually making sure you read the question and check your answers. If it's an understanding problem, you can go and watch YouTube, you can go and make a little cheat sheet, you can go and gain some sort of understanding of this thing that you don't get. My next piece of advice is that slow and steady wins the race. Doing 7 1-hour revision sessions each week, so one hour revision session each day. You might need to do more than this though. It is so much better than doing 1 7-hour revision session once a week. Think about it in terms of going to the gym. If you do 7 sessions a week, you will get much better progress than if you just do 1 session for 7 hours. It's the same concept with studying. Also, when you're just revising for short periods of time more frequently, you are able to stay motivated better, you get less burnt out, and you get less tired. Get into the habit of deep work. So deep work is basically the concept that you are just focusing on work when you're working. You're not wasting your time half focusing, half on your phone, half watching a TV show in the background. I never quite understand why people would put a TV show on while they're trying to do revision, because you're obviously going to get distracted. Get into the habit of working when you're working, actually focusing on the work itself rather than getting distracted all the time. One of the best ways to do this is by putting your phone in another room or putting it on airplane mode, turning off all notifications, finding a way to limit any sort of distractions, particularly importantly for that phone. I would recommend personally putting your phone on airplane mode, because I would still use my phone for music. Although speaking of music, this is also a really good point about distractions. I wouldn't recommend listening to music with words. So listen to jazz music, lo-fi, classical. That's what I like to do, because I don't like revising in complete silence. However, I can do it, but I would prefer having some sort of light piano in the background, because that's not distracting me. When music with words is on, I will be getting distracted and singing along. So best of luck in your mock exams. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments, and hopefully I will see you in the next video where I am giving you more of my top study tips and tricks. So be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye guys.